Welcome to the new world of animal allies, the doctors, volunteers, pet owners and other surprising visitors who are out there making a difference. In Australia, animal doctors help a young racehorse who needs emergency surgery. In the UK, animal helper Carla Lane has created a living paradise. This week's how-to follows in the footsteps of professional dog walker Tanya Palmer. And in Thailand, Animal World goes on a trek to find the last of the great wild tigers.
This is Dr. Kathy from the Murdoch University Veterinary School in Perth, Australia, and inside this horse float is Plugger. Plugger is not very well, and his owner Terry Keenan thinks he may have the flu. It's not unusual for foals to get a cold, but this one seems serious, and Plugger is finding it very difficult to breathe. Terry's vet has been treating him with antibiotics with little success and is so concerned that he's recommended Terry bring him to Murdoch for a specialised diagnosis.
Come on, Plugger. Oh, he's very sensible, really.
Dr. Kathy begins her examination. Plugger is a potential champion, and one of his brothers has already won over £40,000 in prize money.
He's actually got a wheeze that you can hear it in his chest, but it seems to be coming from somewhere else. Whereas a horse that's got pneumonia, you'd expect to hear it loudest in the chest and less loud somewhere else, but his is coming from upper airway rather than from his chest, I think.
Dr. Kathy tests how much airflow is coming out of the horse's nostrils.
Yeah. There's something blocking it. Exactly, he might have a blockage on his right side of his nose. Okay, so there's a couple of things we can do to investigate that. Are you having a nibble? Are you having a nibble, little fella? But he's also...
One of the things Dr. Kathy will do is put a small camera up his nose to have a look at what is causing the blockage. But she's also concerned about the coughing, and she's afraid that the camera may make it even more difficult to breathe and dramatically increase his stress levels. But before she goes to that extent, she wants to x-ray his head to see what the problem is. It could be some abnormal bone or a cyst.
So I think we might get him ready for x-ray first, and then we'll take him in and scope his nose afterwards.
First, she gives him a sedative to keep him calm.
One of the things that I'm a bit concerned about, Terry, is that we don't seem to be getting any airflow down the right side of his nose at all. Normally when if you feel over his nostrils, you'll feel airflow. The offside, yeah.
That's what we found with the scope.
Yeah, Graham mentioned that he had trouble getting the scope up the right side. So, I mean, that's a bit of a concern. It makes me wonder whether he's actually got a problem like a deviated septum in his nose or something like that, something bony that might be blocking things. It could still be like a cyst in his sinuses that's slowly expanding or something like that, but I think the x-ray's worthwhile doing first so that we can see if there's anything bony happening in his head which would stop him being a racehorse.
Well, let's hope it's all okay.
Yeah.
It's something simple.
So we'll scope him afterwards once we've got the x-rays. Okay, just all be nice and still. What do you need, little fella? Come on. There you little fella. You can just hurt a little bit. There's a brave little man.
Dr. Kathy gives young Plugger the sedative so they can get a clean shot with the x-ray machine. The sedative will take about 15 minutes to work. The medical staff are getting quite concerned. Despite the fact that a special kind of sedative was used, Plugger's breathing is getting worse. Dr. Kathy tells Terry that she may have to perform an emergency operation to help him breathe more easily.
Terry, this is a tracheotomy tube, and this is what goes through the incision in the neck. So once we've got a little incision in his neck, we just pop that through the hole in his windpipe, and then this little bit goes through the same spot like that, and you lock it in place. This is not the one we'll use, obviously, because we'll use a sterile one. And that just sits in his windpipe, and he can breathe through that, and it can't fall out because it's got these self-locking things inside.
Flanges on it to prevent that.
So If you don't mind, I might actually clip the hair on his neck so he's ready for one of those. But if he doesn't need one, he'll have a bit of a bald patch. That doesn't bother you at all, does it?
No, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Inside the X-ray room, the students are preparing Plugger for his X-ray. It's not a long process, and within a short time, Dr. Kathy has the results and is showing them to the horse owner. It's not good news.
What's a little bit different about Plugger from normal horses is that this part here, which is his nasal cavity, so where his nostrils go in and the air goes up into his lungs, has not very much air at all. See how dense that is on the X-ray? It's quite white. You can see little cavities there where there's some air going between the bones. But really overall, that looks like there's something in the nose that is obstructing it.
This means that Dr. Kathy is going to have to put a camera up the horse's nose after all. Plugger's breathing has got worse, and Dr. Kathy is concerned that he won't be able to breathe with the camera in place. She decides to perform a tracheotomy. This involves making a hole in the foal's throat so he can breathe. In Animal Doctors Part 2, Dr. Kathy continues her fight to save Plugger.
Carla Lane made her name as the writer of the hit comedies Butterflies, The Liver Birds and Bread. She's currently writing a sitcom about a subject very dear to her, animal sanctuaries. In 1993, Carla opened her own animal sanctuary, Animal Line.
I try to keep this place like an old farm of 100 years ago. The atmosphere is really nice here. It's not all cages and kennels and, you know, it's freedom to the best of our ability. The two things you need for a place like this is, well, three things. The will and heart to do it, I have that. The money, I have that occasionally. I do lose a lot of sleep about, you know, how I'm going to pay for everything. And then you need on a level with all that staff. And if you get, you know, all those things, it becomes a joy and a pleasure.
Set in the grounds of her medieval farmhouse in the heart of Sussex in the English countryside, Animal Line is home to approximately 600 animals and birds. The sanctuary consists of over 40 acres of land, 4 lakes and sprawling woodland.
Here are the big chaps. They're gorgeous. I used to worry and think, what a terrible existence. But actually, this is all they do in the wild. Apparently, they just sit all day going woohoo, doing nothing except if a passing food, they go down, collect it, take it back, eat it, and then just sit. I like all animals, you know, they don't have to be cuddly and nice. I like geese and they keep biting my bum. You can't be an animal person and dictate to them. You know, you've just got to provide them with a place that allows them to be what they are. Otherwise, you're not doing them a favour. And this, my life, consists of doing favours for animals. You must never keep animals just for yourself. It's got to be for them. And I think we're quite good at doing that here.
Carla's love affair with animals and desire to help them began at the age of 3 rescuing earwigs and has grown substantially from there.
They were rescued from a place that had grown tired of them, and they were all going to be put down. So we loaded them onto our big lorry and brought them here, and that was 7 years ago. Come on, you, what are you doing out there? Come on, I love their inquisitiveness. They stand and stare at you. What's going through their head? We have a man, a consultant surgeon, Brian, who is like a bit of a genius, and he operates each Wednesday on all our animals which need it, and we're very glad to have him, and he doesn't charge us a penny. That doesn't often happen, and it's what we need. We need more people like him.
Animal Line is funded by a combination of Carla's own money and the donations she receives from the public.
These were in the slaughterhouse, and they were due to go for slaughter, and somebody faxed me and said there are some Shire horses going for slaughter. There were 6 of them, and I bought all 6. I was rich in those days. It was good, wasn't it? We had money then, didn't we? Isn't that wonderful? I mean, isn't that just beautiful? I think they're such excellent creatures. You can't beat nature, you know. Isn't that, don't you think that's wonderful? Just look how graceful they are. I mean, they weigh over a ton, and yet they're like this, like little fairies. I love them.
Carla and the staff at Animal Line work tirelessly to make the world a better place for the animals they encounter.
If you can't get good people to do these things, you can't run a place like this. And I mean, they're on pennies. Their wages are just rubbish, because that's all we can give. So, you know, as I've said before, the staff are the mainstay here. They're loyal, they're knowledgeable, they love animals.
These dog friends are among the happiest and healthiest pets in England. Each day they're collected from their cramped inner-city homes and allowed to run free on London's Hampstead Heath. Animal Ally's Guide to Walking a Dog. Meet Tanya Palmer, an animal ally who knows a lot about walking dogs.
They need it to keep fit, to keep healthy and well, and happy, more importantly, because they are also happy.
Scooby here may be his owner's best friend, but like many people, his owner doesn't have the time to enjoy a daily stroll in the park.
I haven't seen your bottom hit the floor once, Mr. Scooby-Doo. Sit. Sit. Sit.
Not exercising a dog may cause antisocial behaviour, mood swings and depression.
As if a dog is destructive, it's trying to get your attention. It's trying to tell you something, and we've got to work out what that is.
Come on. If we don't keep them moving, we'll get it.
It's important to know how much and what sort of exercise a dog needs to keep happy and healthy.
They will always be on the hunt for food. Rabbits, squirrels, they're out there with a job to do. They have a purpose.
If the dog is a mixed breed, understanding its genetic makeup will provide a guide to how much exercise he needs each day.
It is in fact a hard work animal. This dog needs about 20 miles a day exercise.
Keep control of the dog, because not everyone else using the park will be pleased to see him.
Try and avoid picnics in the summers, people playing football, because my dogs love football as well.
Professional dog walkers are available in most large cities. Ask the local vet for a recommendation. And Tanya's ultimate aim?
I want a tired dog to go home with. I want to know it's had the best exercise it can possibly have, and it's enjoyed itself while it's out here.
So for this week's Animal Allies How-To, remember, choose the size of dog carefully. Different breeds need different amounts of exercise. Control where the dog goes walking, and remember to bring a litter bag. The local vet can recommend a professional dog walker.
Zoologist Tony Lynham and his team are hiking through the Tafaya National Park in northeast Thailand, preparing to set a number of cunning traps. This jungle's about 600 square miles, stretching all the way across the Thai-Cambodian border. Thai paramilitary forces protect them from roaming bands of Cambodian fighters. Tony clears vegetation around the trap, which he hopes will catch wild tigers. But it's only on film. This is a candid camera. He checks that the camera's infrared light is working. It should take a picture when any animal moves across the beam. Tony says this is the best way to record the numbers of these big cats in the wild.
And we don't actually have to be there to record their presence. So the camera traps are a non-invasive technique for assessing tigers. And it's a great technique because we don't have to catch the tigers, we don't have to disturb them, we don't have to disturb their habitats in order to get the information that we're after.
The trap has already caught some of the camera-shy cats. These shots were taken in southern Thailand and are evidence that at least some tigers remain in the wild. What Tony's team is trying to find out is just how many. A century ago, there were up to 100,000 tigers thriving on prey, including deer, pigs and cattle. Now there are perhaps 5,000 tigers left. Back in the Tafaya National Park, Tony and his team are going to check on the camera traps they planted on a well-known wildlife trail. But they're puzzled to find that although the camera is working, it hasn't taken a single shot.
The trail basically follows this ravine, so any wildlife that is moving along has to move along this pathway here. So that's a really good spot for a camera trap. But no pictures after 1 month.
The men encounter a possible explanation for the lack of tigers. They find a trap for smaller animals. It's been set by hunters who are rife in the region and who may be scaring the tigers away. Tony finds more evidence of poaching across the border in Cambodia, where shops like this one in the market town of Poi Pet specialise in animal products. The shopkeeper won't say where they come from, but Tony believes many would have been hunted in the Tafaya National Park, and he's amazed at what some people will buy. Back in Thailand, Tony's investigating a tiger sighting. He's hopeful. That means some tigers do still live in the area. A farmer said 2 tigers came out of the forest and attacked his cattle.
Tiger dragged this thing all the way in here. So look, he crunched through the jawbone of this cow.
These bones are all that remains of the farmer's precious cattle, so when he saw the tiger, he tried to shoot it. Tony and his team continue planting cameras to get an accurate view of the remaining number of tigers in this region. After collecting a few of the films, Tony has them developed back in Bangkok. He looks forward to seeing the results.
Well, oh, muntjac, pig, leopard. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible. Look at that, there's a leopard in this photo. It may be that there are no tigers in this particular part of the forest, but there are leopards in their place. Because leopards and tigers are probably competing with each other across most of their range.
That may explain their absence, or it may be due to a trend Tony has seen over and over again.
From our surveys over the last 2 years, we've found that there are fewer tigers than we'd ever thought. That's an alarm bell for us. Tigers are really on their way out.
For now, Tony and his team continue to search for the remaining tigers still out there in the wild. Back at Murdoch University Veterinary School, Plugger can breathe more easily after his tracheotomy and is taken into another operating room where Dr. Kathy will gently push a mini camera into his nostril to try to get a better look at the blockage. She shows Terry and his daughter that Plugger is now breathing much better. This endoscope is a miniature camera which Dr. Kathy is going to slide up Plugger's nose. It's not as uncomfortable as it looks, and it's probably more stressful for the vets and Plugger's owners than it is for the little horse. Inside Plugger's nose, the first thing Dr. Kathy notices is that there is a lot of bone and not much room for air.
When I went into this side, I mean, there's all sorts of areas up here that I actually can't drive the scope in, but I imagine that they'll be rubbing it ulcerated here too. See, it's got craters in it? Yes. Yeah. Okay, we'll just go up the other side and see whether we can actually drive up it or not.
What they see isn't good. In fact, it couldn't be any worse. There's no hole in Plugger's nostril for the air to go through. It's totally blocked by bone. So they have to put Plugger under a general anaesthetic and go in through the mouth. Unfortunately, the diagnosis is confirmed. Plugger has a rare condition called conal-atresia, which develops in the embryo.
So that tube's moving his membrane there, and there's definitely a blockage. And this one is almost closed as well.
There are only 11 reported cases of this syndrome worldwide. Sadly, this means Terry has no option but to ask Dr. Kathy to put Plugger to sleep. But it's the kindest thing to do because his life expectancy can be measured in days, ending in an unpleasant death. Like a lot of animal allies, Dr. Kathy believes that what she's learned from Plugger will go on to help her save other horses in the future.
In the next programme, the new world of animal allies continues when Doc Rogers tries to solve the mystery behind 2 dead lion cubs. And a breeding programme at the Stuttgart Zoo in Germany brings an enthusiastic group of orphans together.
There are ways to make a difference.